your ad could show up for that broad search term. So it's cheaper, but you're also getting a lead that like, I probably don't love that lead. Like I don't need that lead. That was happening to a lot of people. A lot of agencies were using these Pro Max campaigns. They were easier. They were selling the cheaper leads and they weren't getting highly motivated leads.
Cold call has always been our bread and butter since we're so data heavy and data centric. Most of our callers come out of Egypt. We have a couple in Mexico, the Philippines, but we really try to include them in the culture. Everybody feels like they're super involved. We don't like to treat them like expendable overseas labor. We really try to train them. And I would argue just about every single member of our cold call team is an A player. They're excellent. They're not like every other cookie cutter cold caller.
What's going on with you guys? You guys have anything fun to share, Austin or Dominic? Anything, any good wins lately?
Yeah, we had a deal close. What was it? I think Friday from TV ads. So that was kind of cool.
Very nice. Wholesale or flip?
Yeah. It was a wholesale. So it wasn't, like a fix and flip type situation. It was in a nicer community. So we had a private money lender do the transactional funding. We held it for, I think, 2-3 months and then just put it back on the market and sold it.
Awesome. Good stuff. I love those wholesales, man. Love those wholesales. What about you, Austin?
We just signed a really good wholesale 2 days ago, but it was a lead from like 6 months ago. So it was one that we just kept following up with and they were finally ready to sell. So that was kind of cool. It's a good deal too, which is nice.
Cool. Fortune is in the follow-up. We haven't found a
Yep.
lot of luck in follow-up. Maybe we haven't been doing enough. Like I feel like when we get properties, it's usually within the first week that they contact us. After that, it significantly drops off. But do you guys have follow-up specialists, or does your regular lead manager or acquisitions person do the follow-up?
So for us, if it's hot or warm, it immediately goes to acquisitions. But we have it so the calls are coming in and it's kind of fair game. Whoever picks up first, typically it's the lead managers. So then if it's good, they'll send it to acquisitions. If it's cold, they'll follow up with it and try to nurture it. But I've had the same, I think, experience as you. Typically the people that are calling in from TV, there's something pressing where they want to go now. So, typically we're closing those in 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. We're still following up with the older ones, but I've noticed that is if they're ready to go, they're typically ready to go, which is nice. They're typically, faster converting deals.
What about you,
It's
Austin? Do you have a follow-up specialist?
We do, and it's exactly like you guys. I mean, those deals, it's kind of few and far between when we get something, 6 months ago. I mean, you do it because you make money on it. You do a couple of deals, but it's not like that's our bread and butter. But it was interesting, and you guys should study this too in your own business. In December, I went through all of our leads in our CRM that we didn't get, that we had talked to, or like we were kind of interested in. And I noticed that it was over like 90% of them never sold at all. So it wasn't like
Interesting.
we were losing. Yeah, it wasn't like we were losing deals to other people. There were a few where like, we're like, oh, that they sold to somebody else, but most of them, just for whatever reason, they never sold their house that came through us. So I thought that was kind of encouraging. I'm like, I think if they were selling to other people, we wouldn't be doing a good job in sales, but most of them have been still sitting or never hit the market. So
Do you have an automated way to pull to know that it didn't sell, or did you just call them and they said they didn't sell?
Well, we used Claude to pull like all those, get a list on an Excel sheet, and then we just sat at a coffee shop. Like we were doing a whole study on the whole year and looked at it for like 2 hours. We were just clicking addresses and like they never sold, they never sold, they never sold. So it was a kind of a manual, boring job, but it was an interesting study. It was like part of our deep dive at the end of the year.
Wow,
Can,
interesting.
can I ask you guys where typically, like, if you don't mind my asking, what would you say is the biggest motivation or reason for selling? If you could pinpoint like the top one for your TV leads.
Yeah, I'm not deep in my business, so I see our contracts come through, and I typically want to know what situation they're in when they sell. So I don't know from a whole where all of our leads are coming from or what the main situation is. I haven't done acquisitions in like 10 or 11 years. So I would say when I did acquisitions, it usually was inheritance. That was probably a really good portion. I don't know what percentage. I would say inheritance, going into a nursing home or downsizing because they lived in the property for a long time, or there was some kind of major repair issue that kind of was like the straw that broke the camel's back, where They kind of were, struggling to maintain the property, and all of a sudden they had a big roof leak, or they had a foundation issue, or something like that. So I would say that's probably the top three for us of why people are selling. What about you, Austin?
Uh,
What do you think?
Our most recent deals, while you were talking, and I was thinking, we're working a few right now that's a nursing home situation. Parent is probably 80 to 90. They've let the house just go. They can't keep up with it, and their child is trying to sell it for them. So that happens to us quite often. And quite a few people are just trying to relocate, can't keep up with their payments. I've noticed that a lot recently, actually. People are trying to move, but then that makes it difficult because they don't have a place to move because rates are a little higher than what they probably bought the house. So those two things I run into a lot.
Yeah, I've seen
yeah,
I've
it's
seen more I've seen more payment situations lately. We had one where they owed a lot on taxes and they were getting ready to foreclose in the next month. And then we've had some more behind on their payments. I feel like I've seen and heard from my team more of those recently for sure. What about you, Dominic? What's your reason for asking, would you say?
yeah. So I mean, our company's Florida still now, so we're right now in Florida. We do plan to scale into Texas, but being in Florida, we have different marketing channels. So cold call is one of our primary bread and butter situations, and that's a data heavy game, right? So a lot of those opportunities, I would say like 60, 70, 80% are probably like probate, right? So when we made the decision to go into TV, it was okay, these probate deals, they have a longer cycle because you have to put it through probate. So your cash conversion cycle is extended. And we're like, all right, we need to mix up where the money's coming from. We need quicker deals. So that was primarily why we got into TV. And I would say for us, it's similar to what you guys said. I mean, I just looked at our sales report. Most of them are the house isn't in the most amazing condition and they're just trying to relocate and sell fast. So it kind of reminds me of the boom that we had with wholesaling back in like 2020, 2021, where you could just get an absentee vacant owner list and just spam call it and you'd get a deal. Those days are over, at least as far as cold calling. But from TV, I mean, that's where our leads are coming from. And I would say the cash conversion cycle on those is the fastest out of any of our marketing channels. So a
Yeah.
couple inheritance situations, couple where, the parent is older and the kids are trying to sell it for them. But by and large, they just want to sell it quick. They don't want to deal with a realtor and they're relocating out of state, I would say.
Yeah, cool. I've got a list of questions here for you guys. If you guys have any, you guys can definitely pop in. Thanks for that first question there, Dominic. So I'm kind of curious what's working for you guys. So it could be anything. It could be marketing. It could be a hire something you did hiring wise. It could be a CRM that's doing well for you. What's working for you guys? So I'll go ahead and go first while you guys are thinking. Um, we recently hired Results Driven. Are you guys familiar with Results Driven? Josh and Tiffany High. So we
Mhm.
went to their 2 day back in January and hired them, and they really have helped us refine our processes and systems. And one thing we realized, and I don't know if it was necessarily because of them, but I can tell you that they have put some nice little touches on what we've been doing. We figured out that our lead manager was not doing a very good job. And that was partly on me and my team, or my high level team, for not looking at the numbers better and more consistently. I usually looked at numbers like, every few months from a global perspective and said, okay, here's our ROI on our channels. Here's our leads that are coming in. Here's how many leads it takes to get a deal, all those metrics. But now we're starting to look at them weekly because we had a slow fourth quarter. And I thought it was fourth quarter. And I just thought it was a weird year. And I just thought, and now as we dig in, it's like those leads were not being handled very well. And our numbers really tanked in the fourth quarter. So we ended up, the lead manager ended up leaving. We were trying to get him up to speed and he ended up leaving. And my sister, who's my acquisitions person, stepped in and started answering the phone and on like right away just started getting contracts. So I guess my give here for that is just look at your numbers weekly, because if you don't look at your numbers weekly, it could take you a while to really see trends trends of what your team is doing. And again, I looked at them, sometimes monthly, sometimes every 3 months, and it was just kind of casual. Now it's like our team is dialed in and results driven has helped us to really refine those numbers of what we need to look at. So so that's kind of what's working for us now is just refining that. What about you guys? What's working for you guys?
You want me to go first? Or you go first. I don't care.
Whichever you can pick.
I'll go. One thing that has been working well for us is as Google search changes more and more, we're primarily SEO and PPC to get our deals. Um, a lot of stuff is switching to AI search, right? People are going more to ChatGPT or Google Gemini to find answers. And when you search something on ChatGPT and Gemini, or the AI search bar, you talk differently typically. So, like if I go into Google search bar, I kind of give broken keywords, right? Like if I'm trying to Google anything, like fix my refrigerator, I'm not saying like how do I fix my refrigerator? Here is my problem. I'm just saying like fix refrigerator, right? So, one of the things that we started doing was answering questions in um, podcast form on our website for blog posts. So that way, AI search would take that content in the exact form that people were searching and in the conversation form that people are searching. And we are showing up like crazy in our area when someone searches like sell my home through ChatGPT or AI search. We show up almost on every single search. So if you're not providing content in the ways that they want you to for people who are searching with AI, they're going to start showing other people's content. So kind of revamping your content on your website, I think is really important moving forward, and it's working so far.
So is it that much different than SEO, would you say? Is it just phrasing it differently so that AI is picking it up as opposed to just Google? Is what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, it's not crazy different, but the way that AI gets data is, they want to use as little energy as possible to get all of their data points put together, right? So when they can scrape your website and you can provide it in the way that they want it, they'll show your information because it takes less energy, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
just making little tweaks on your website. And we're literally just like making a podcast about whatever situation, a probate situation, and then taking that transcript and putting it on our website as a blog. Um, and we're showing up. We just got a really good ChatGPT lead the other day from somebody searching on ChatGPT, and the source was ChatGPT. So that was pretty cool.
Want to get motivated sellers that nobody knows about? Introducing 10x TV. If you want to create credibility in your market, find deals that nobody else knows about, and crush your competition, you need to check into TV commercials. It is the new buzz in the real estate investing industry since we introduced it several years ago. I've been using TV commercials myself for the last 12 years and it's absolutely crushed it. So if you want to learn how to get on TV and to do something that little to no people are doing right now, go to claimmymarket.com. Again, that's claimmymarket.com. We usually only work with 2 investors per market, so if you're interested, reach out to us and book a call to see if you can claim your market before anybody else does. Now back to the show. Nice, very nice, cool. All right, cool. Dominic.
I would second that with the SEO content. So I think a lot of people come into this industry and they really want to show off, about selling their sales course or, being the master guru. We've taken a little bit of a different approach, and we're really trying to get the brand out there, really trying to create brand awareness. And we hired basically like a digital marketing firm. They're helping us with our SEO blog posts. They revamped our website. So they're taking over our social media. We've actually started a YouTube channel where instead of, going into, hey, here's how you close a seller, X, Y, and Z, we're talking about the stories and the crazy situations we've come across. I don't think a lot of people have really documented the storytelling. And I think a lot of the things that even the 3 of us have come across, a lot of people would not believe unless you told the story and you documented it. So all of these things in combination with our TV ads, we're trying to create a ecosystem to get our brand out there. So when somebody calls in or our cold caller makes contact, typically they're going to Google us. They're going to see, okay, wow, they've got the Google reviews, they've got the Facebook, they've got the YouTube, and all these little things, I think, add up and get you brownie points to stand out amongst your competition. And they're going to want to work with you because they're like, okay, This company has solved super complex problems. They've got cool stories to tell. You're just creating that lore that I think gets people to really want to work with you, and it builds that credibility, especially seeing you on TV and on YouTube. So I would say that's my give is making sure you create an ecosystem that gets your brand out there.
I like it. So a couple things to take away. One is omnipresence marketing is being everywhere you possibly can. So when someone calls in, no matter what, well, unless they say TV, of course, but if they say, we got your postcard, we say, oh, have you seen our TV ads and our radio ads? And number one, that builds credibility because if they've seen it and didn't correlate that that was you, then helps build that credibility. And it also just makes sure to see where they are seeing us, right? Because if they say postcard and that's all we say, but if they say, "Oh, I've seen your TV commercial before," you know what else is working as well. I know for me, when I want to work with somebody, the more places I've seen them, the more likely I am to use their service because they are, if they're everywhere, that means they're spending money. That means they're top of my mind, and the trust and credibility is there. So I think that's a really good point. I'm going to shift real quick to AI. I didn't have this on the list, but Austin, you've mentioned AI a couple times. So I'm kind of interested how you guys are using AI in your businesses. So I've been diving into Claude Cowork. I say diving into. I'm more watching the YouTube videos on it. Literally this morning, I just finally connected Claude Cowork to my calendar and my email, and a couple other things. And I'm really interested to see if it can really help me um, reply to my emails faster, find things faster, and just do things faster overall. To this point, I've really mainly used it for, like Austin said, just finding things. Find me a natural doctor in Boise, Idaho, because I just moved here, this last year. Um, and then I use it, for Google, where I used to go to Google. Now I just go to ChatGPT because it finds things faster and it summarizes it for me. So I'm kind of curious what else you guys are using for AI in your business and how you feel like it could potentially change some things that you're doing in your business. So we'll just go in the same order. How about Austin? You start.
Yeah, so I use Claude as well. And one of the very tangible things I do every day is I have it run on a schedule at 9 a.m. There's a website called Quoted. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but it's QWOTED, and it's for uh, people who write articles for different publications, right? And I used to go on there, and I mean, I still do, and I search the word real estate. And if anybody has any questions to be answered, I go through and I actually answer those questions for them so I can get featured in Yahoo News or Go Banking Rates, Rocket Mortgage, all those things. And it's a really good resource. Well, what I do is every day, Claude goes in, opens up 9 a.m. It opens up a tab on my computer itself. It did it this morning. It logs into my account. It searches the word real estate, and then it pulls the top three articles that it thinks I would write or be good at. And then it writes three articles for me. And then it saves it as a draft in my email. So it doesn't publish it for me because I don't want to just send a bunch of AI content to people. I want to actually review it and then make it my own or tell my own story. But it literally does it for me. It looks for three articles, it writes the three articles, and then it saves it in my email. And then all I have to do is edit it to make it my own a little bit, and then send it to the writer. So that's like one tangible thing I do.
Nice. I like it. I just signed up for an account. So
Yeah, you can do two free a month. And then if you pay for it, it's like $99 a month, and you can do unlimited.
So when you write the article, is it to push traffic back to your website?
No, well, it could, but it's more mainly for link building for your website. So that way, they quote you, they'll link your website, and then that helps with SEO with link building. So, I mean, at this rate, I've probably done over, I don't know, 100 of them. I've been doing it for a long time, just kind of
Nice.
consistently. You
Nice.
don't get them all the time because you have to like find the right article that works for you. So I highly suggest like don't just throw it into ChatGPT, have it write, like tell a personal story. That's what gets them. is like, oh, I have a house that this exact thing happened. I can answer that exact question.
Very nice. But you do have to answer the question yourself, or does Claude answer the question and queue it up for you to where you can just copy and paste it?
Yes, I now have it queue it up for me, and then I review it and like add my own stuff to it. Get rid of like some dashes. It always adds dashes, and um, so I do make sure that I'm personally looking at it because you can get flagged. I got flagged one time because I used to just use AI and write it, and then a person was like, "Did you use AI for this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." So now I actually make sure that I actually kind of touch it up a little bit.
And what is that? Just a few minutes a day, and you've got 100 articles out now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, literally. It's like I used to spend way more time on it, but now Claude's helping me pick the three best ones, and then I can identify them and then send them out. I probably get, I don't know, one or two a week by just being a little consistent.
Nice, nice, cool. Dominic, what about you? You using AI?
We are. My business partner is more so in charge of operations, so he's more the AI specialist. But we use ChatGPT, we use Claude. Um, so Claude we use for we're really heavy on data. So we want to be first to market when data becomes publicly available through the county. So we're using bots to pull that data, and then Claude is basically cleaning it up, scraping it, getting it ready so that it can be skip traced because we want to aggressively market and call these people before anybody. So that really speeds up the time to contact. What would normally take a virtual assistant, you know, hours and hours and hours takes Claude, 10, 15 minutes, if that.
Hmm.
So that's really, really helped us. And then as far as ChatGPT, we've had an account with them where we've just been inputting data and questions and, you know, basically feeding it information for the last 2 or 3 years. So whenever we have a question about the business, we enter it into ChatGPT and it's been regurgitated with so much data that it almost knows more about the business than we do.
Wow,
So
nice.
when there's these fundamental questions of, hey, do we want to pivot here? What do we want to do there? We go to ChatGPT and it gives us super insightful information that it's like, oh wow, I didn't think about that, because it has more data stored in its brain than we do. So those are the two we use, and that's what we use them for.
Do you guys have it pull from your spreadsheets and have it analyze data, like whether it's your ROI sheets or your KPI sheets or your schedule? Like I have a schedule of real estate that I'm gonna tap it into and tell me if there's any properties that they think I should sell or get a line of credit on or just kind of analyze spreadsheets like that. Do you guys have it pull any data like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. A example of that was our cold call leads fell a little bit. So we entered the information for the last 3 years of data we had. And it was like, the solution is simple. Your dials are down. You've got to make more dials. So it was like right off the rip within 5 minutes, we figured out, okay, well, our callers have, just got to make more dials. That's it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
What about you, Austin? You having to pull some data from your spreadsheets?
Yeah, I do. It's always random stuff. I'm like one of the things I'm trying to do is make quicker offers on houses. So I have a really nice Excel sheet that we built a couple years ago based off of square footage, what the rehab will cost, spits out like our maximum allowable offer. I mean, everybody probably has it, but I always liked ours. And I'm trying to throw addresses in there and then have it run itself through the Excel sheet. Um, so like one example I'm trying to do it. I'm not there yet, and I don't know if AI is there yet either to be able to like make it fully accurate. But that's an example of trying to run through Excel sheets and have it analyze some data. I'm actively trying to work on that.
Yeah. Cool. Um, People in your organization are massive. In 2010, I'd been in the business for 9 years and I had to fire pretty much my whole staff. And I ended up bringing my sister on in 2010. She's still with me today. And she completely changed the way my business operated because I was able to give her things and know that they were done as opposed to having to go in and babysit constantly. And that's when I realized people like who you had in your organization was huge. So my next question is, what is the best hire that you guys have made? Or is there anything that you have done from a hiring perspective that has helped changed your business? So anything hiring, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I have two quick examples. I was so hesitant to hire an executive assistant forever, mainly because I was like, I don't think I have enough work for them. I have some work for them, but it's like, I just couldn't figure it out. And I got a cold LinkedIn message from a girl in Egypt who worked for somebody from Ohio that was a cash buyer, and it didn't say sponsored or anything. So I actually responded, and I was like, what are you interested in doing? She said, I'm an executive assistant. And I asked her what she does. Does she work with Dotloop, all that? She said, yes. We hopped on a Zoom that day and I hired her the next day. And she's been a game changer for our business. I mean, she takes care of any any nonsense task that you have to do, saving a HUD on a property in the right spots, getting data, getting information from the closing company, saving our photos in the right format, like anything that I wasn't even realizing I was spending time on. Um, she just has completely taken over and done for us. So I hired an executive assistant. She's been awesome. She's been with us for over a year now. That was a year ago when we hired her, and she's awesome. Works 40
Nice.
hours a week for us. So I'd say that was the best hire. And then we hired a sales guy, and his name's Noah, and he has basically turned into like the sales director at this point, which has been awesome. Kind of gave him the reins and said, "Hey, you can start making offers. Like I don't need to look over your shoulder anymore." So, um, kind of pass exactly like you, passing off that task and giving some ownership really went a long way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, some people ask me what their first hire should be, those that are kind of newer in the business and are just getting started. And I'm like, hire someone like that, like an executive assistant that you can literally give transaction coordination, you can give, resizing photos, putting stuff on MLS or on the internet, just those things that anybody can do. And it just frees you up so much. And
Hmm.
it still blows my mind. Some people that are like, I just want to do that all myself, and it's like, you're missing a lot of opportunities by doing all those menial tasks when you can have someone for 5, 6, 7, 8, $9 an hour to do those kinds of things, right?
Hmm.
Cool. What about you, Dominic? What have you guys done hiring wise that has changed the game for you?
Yeah, I would say we're just, we really interview, and I think we're relatively picky about who we bring on. We try to make sure everybody's an A player, and I think that makes all the difference in the world. Is if everybody you hire is top notch, they're super motivated, they want the company to succeed. As far as a particular hire that I think has been a game changer, we brought on a director of sales. I would say fall of 2024 going into 2025, and he was actually a realtor that we'd worked with in the past, but he was also an investor and had experience in fix and flips and holding rentals. And I think bringing on a director of sales in this industry is very difficult if you don't have that experience. So he's really helpful in diversifying our exit strategies, whether that's a sub two or a novation or a wholesale, and also getting creative with sales strategies to get somebody across the finish line to sell. So we had other people that we'd considered for that role, but it's just so difficult if you don't have a ton of experience. Um, and then he's overseeing, our acquisitions guys, our dispositions guys, our lead managers. So you not only have to have this experience with investing, but you also have to know how to manage people and be friendly. But I would say that's been a game changer for us. And if anybody's looking for an executive hire to oversee their sales team, you want somebody that has that multifaceted investing experience, which is not easy because if you're doing fix and flips and you're an investor, you probably don't want to work for somebody else. You want to just do your own thing. But luckily enough, we'd built a relationship with him over 5 years. So he was bought into the vision and he had seen how much we had grown. So he was like, no, I normally wouldn't work for somebody, but I'm bought in and I want to work with you guys. So if you can get that person that's a level executive, it makes all the world of a difference.
I'll share a quote with you guys that had an impact on me. Someone said, instead of chasing deals, try and chase people. Meaning, and I may have butchered the quote a little bit, but basically what it meant was, deals you can do all day long, but if you can hire the right people, they will go do the deals for you. So you don't have to go find the deals. Um, and one more question on this: does either of you guys have acquisitions people that are responsible for going out and finding deals, meaning that they're talking to wholesalers, they're going to networking events, they're not handling inbound leads, they're going out and getting their own deals. The reason I ask is I'm actually getting ready to hire someone. I just pulled the trigger today on someone to go an agency to go find someone for me, and I'm just curious if you guys have that person.
I personally do not, but one of my best friends that flips, he does. He has a person that goes to the meetups, and there's every county has a meetup, once a month, and then by the time you hit them all, it's at least once a week. You're going to everything, so he has somebody going to the meetups, getting coffee with people, with wholesalers, and I think it goes well. I mean, I just got an email from them saying we're looking for flips and want to buy, so um, I think it's a good hire and a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I figure if you can get at least one deal a month or even one deal every other month, it should pay for itself. What about you, Dominic? Do you guys have that?
We personally do not. We've had a consultant that told us you guys need to bring in self-gen salespeople, and we've toyed around with the idea. Somebody that can get us referrals. My only reservation with it was, if they can go out and get these deals, wouldn't they just do it themselves, right? Like, why would they want to work with us? But um, it's something we're still trying to figure out. And I think the idea of just having somebody that consistently goes to meetups and their entire prerogative is just networking with wholesalers is a great way to bring in referrals that literally cost $0 other than what you're paying the sales guy. So definitely has my interest for sure.
Yeah. Are you guys fixing and flipping, Dominic, or are you guys wholesaling mostly? I know you said you're wholesaling too.
So we don't really fix and flip. We'll do wholesales or we'll sign the contract. But if we're gonna really buy something and hold it, we want to hold it for our portfolio. So we'll cherry pick the top deals that we get and just hold them as a longer term rental. Um, as far as the fix and flips, we've gone through and we've kind of done the math on just flipping the contract versus fixing and flipping it. And the opportunity cost and the time versus those margins, it just makes more sense, I think, at least for us, to just flip the contract and wholesale it as opposed to fix and flip.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm sure you've kind of run the numbers on this, but I found that there are a lot of deals that if I close on it, so we close on everything. I like to control the deal. So that way we can decide to flip it. We can decide to wholesale it, which we don't wholesale that much. And then when we flip it, we can decide if we want to rent it or sell it. And I recently put together a spreadsheet, or refined our deal analyzer, I should say, that has a section that analyzes what the tax savings would be on a property if we were to keep it. So if the renovations are pretty high on a property and our profit is about where we want it to be or lower than we want it to be, I find that the tax savings is actually equal to or greater than what we would have made if we had sold the property and paid taxes on it. Does that make sense? So
Mhm.
let's say you're going to sell a property, make 25,000, then you're going to pay taxes on it, and let's say your cut's 15. If I keep that same property, if it has a lot of renovations to it, by the time I bonus depreciate the renovations that I can and cost segregate the property, my tax savings may be $30,000. So I actually made more money by keeping the property. So I don't know if you've analyzed your buy and holds that way, Dominic, but if you guys aren't looking at that, you really should. If you have the ability to close on it, fix it up, refinance it, and have the team to do that. I try and keep about 15 of those every year. And if I can save, $30,000 on each one of those, that's over $400,000 in tax savings just from those properties.
Definitely 100%.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's switch to marketing. Um, we kind of touched on that a little bit with omnipresence marketing and creating a brand. And I do want to touch on that real quick, Dominic. I forgot. We are starting YouTube as well for our home flipping business. And it's one of those, it may produce a little bit in the beginning, but the long-term effect of it as you get traction and you get more videos out there, let's say a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, when you have a lot of videos out there, it's more likely to produce than, when you first get started. So really, I feel like if you're going to do that, you need to play the long game and realize that it may not produce a lot right now, but if you consistently do it, even if it's just a video every other week or something like that, um, that can have effect. So we do have at least a couple clients that they know for a fact their YouTube and Instagram is directly performing for them. So not just adding credibility, but they're actually getting leads because they're really laser focusing on getting consistent quality content out there. So switching over to marketing, I'd like to know what's working marketing for you guys. So Austin, you said PPC and SEO are your main lead sources.
Yes, they are. We invest pretty heavily in the SEO and PPC side of things, and they've done well for us for the last, I don't know, 6 7 years. It's what's kept us in business. So, and we're consistent with it, like doing the link building, make sure we're getting content up. We run our PPC campaigns, go through them, make sure we get rid of the negative keywords um, very regularly. Like we're on it. We do it in house as well. So me and my business partner came from marketing agencies, and we just so happened to pick real estate. So we were like marketing guys that do real estate now. So we do our own in-house work on that.
Really, most people are marketing people that do real estate, whether they're
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
before, right? I mean, it's marketing and
It
sales,
is.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. PPC. So that's one of those things that, a lot of people come to us and say, hey, PPC is not working as well. PPL, those types of things. And they come to us and say, hey, how can we get on TV and get leads, from TV because, certain lead channels aren't working. So I'm surprised PPC is, I'm not saying I'm 100% surprised it's working for you, but there are a lot of people that say that it hasn't been as consistent. The costs have gone up. The algorithms have changed where it literally overnight something can change and there could be a mix up. Have you seen that at all in your market where PPC have you had to shift much and kind of
Oh
navigate
yeah.
some of those changes?
So, and to answer that exact question, it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Google did this whole thing called Pro Max campaigns. I don't know if either of you have heard of those, but it was more of like an AI overview to help you get cheaper leads, right? Your cost of a lead might have gone from 250 to $99. And really all those were broad search terms. Somebody just searching like, I I'm going to make up something dumb, but like, I eventually need to sell my house. What are steps to help me sell it with a realtor? Right. And your ad could show up for that broad search term. So it's cheaper, but you're also getting a lead that, like, I probably don't love that lead. Like, I don't need that lead. So that was happening to a lot of people. A lot of agencies were using these Max campaigns. They were easier. They were selling the cheaper leads, and they weren't getting highly motivated leads. We ran into this for a couple months where I'm like, man, we've been getting really weird leads. It's not like they own a house, but they don't want to sell to us. I was kind of figuring that out. We realized that the majority of our budget was going to Pro Max, and we changed it to like high intent search ads, and we dial in our negative keywords and our keywords, and that's been really good for us. We get less leads and they cost more, but when we get one, I'm like, man, it's like 1 in 3 are great leads. They are filling out our form and being intentional with what they're doing.
Yeah, quality over quantity. And I don't know
Mhm.
that I don't know anybody who's made Pro Max campaign work. We tried that on some different things as well, and we didn't have any luck with it either.
Yeah, and it might work for other industries. Like, I kind of like the idea that Google did, but for at least for us who are flippers, wholesalers, we want um, high intent, motivated sellers. Um, there's just only so many of them out there, right? There's not that many people out there, and we're all scraping and crawling to get that same lead. So I don't know if our industry it works super well.
Yeah. What about you, Dominic? What's working marketing wise?
So, TV ads, like I mentioned, have been really, really working well, I think, due to the brand we're building. I second what you said about YouTube. It's a long game. You have to be invested in it, I think, for multiple years. Cold call has always been our bread and butter since we're so data heavy and data centric. Most of our callers come out of Egypt. We have a couple in Mexico, the Philippines, but we really try to include them in the culture. Everybody feels like they're super involved. We don't like to treat them like expendable overseas labor. We really try to train them, and I would argue just about every single member of our cold call team is an A player. They're excellent. They're not like every other cookie cutter cold caller. They're having like a real empathetic conversation with the seller, and I think that makes the world of a difference. And then we have a third department called Intuitive Deals. And basically, we've created this ecosystem with our cold calling and our other marketing channels where we can go in and look at the data and say, okay, we haven't made contact with this particular opportunity. What's going on? Oh, wow, the owner is deceased and there's code enforcement and there's less penance and X, Y, and Z. So this is probably a good opportunity. And we'll try to really dig in deep and make contact with their heirs or whoever they may be. So we have a full-time research specialist. She's going through and finding those opportunities, and then in some cases helping build out the family tree, either through herself or with the help of a genealogist. And then we're using private investigators. We work with some that used to work with the FBI, so they can pretty much contact just about anybody. And the volume of those deals is obviously less than the other marketing channels, but they're typically significantly higher margin deals, six figures and up minimum. Um, so you're tracking people that just can't be found, and you're beating your competition every single time because they've already given up on that. The we did a YouTube. My first YouTube video was about one we did in Naples, Florida, where we nobody could find this guy. His own family didn't even know where he was, and we ended up tracking him down to Guam. So those are the links you have to go to on those deals. But like I said, they're typically they're much higher margin spreads for sure.
Yeah. Cold calling. I'm surprised that that's still, um, I'm surprised. I'm not saying, again, I keep saying surprised, but I just don't know a lot of people that are still doing cold calling. So that's good that it's working for you. Are you just pulling, so are you pulling cold lists, or are you pulling like niche lists for that type of thing? And how many cold callers do you have working for you?
Right now, we have 7 or 8 cold callers, and we're pulling directly from the county as soon as it's filed. Like I mentioned earlier, we're using Claude to scrape and clean that data. And we use a data CRM called REI Sift to prioritize the best
Yeah.
records from there. And then those go to the callers. Um, but it's all about first to market and, making sure your numbers are filed and registered so you're not getting flagged as spam, and just using creative ways to reach out and make sure that they respond.
Yeah, very nice, very nice, cool. What about personal development? This is something that came up on one of our last mastermind panels that we did, was personal development. It was a really good conversation. So obviously we can do a lot for our business, but if our personal life and our health and all of that isn't in order, then it's really not all worth it, right? So I feel like a lot of high level people have something they do from a personal development standpoint that really works for them, that helps them to be more mentally sharp, more energetic, and just able to operate at a higher level. So I'm kind of curious what you guys do outside of real estate and business that kind of keeps you guys energetic and keeps you sharp. So how about you, Austin?
I guess I got two quick ones. One's kind of, I mean, I joined a nicer gym last year, one that like my kids can get watched at. My wife really likes. They have a steam room, they have a cold plunge, and that's been a game changer for me and my family. I'm working out way more consistently. I do the steam room almost every day. Like I'm going to pick my kids up in an hour and take them to the gym, and I'll get a workout in, and my wife can make dinner. So that's been like great holistic for my family, giving us some space. I feel healthier, so that's pretty cool. And then pretty active in my church too, on Sundays and outside of stuff. So I think staying active, helping out people at church has been really life-giving in some ways. Like I just went to some people who are struggling at our church that need to sell their house quickly for some medical debt, and like I just know what to do. So being involved and being able to help people out that way has been cool too. So I think those two things, growing in my faith and my physical body, have been helpful.
I would second the gym. Been really dialed the last year or so, and consistent with exercise, and then also my diet. Making sure I understand what makes sense for my body composition, my weight, and I noticed that that has a huge effect on your energy and how productive you are throughout the day. The diet more so than anything. So making sure you have a well balanced, whole foods diet, not eating just a bunch of just junk and processed food, just whole food diet. So that's one. And then another one I would say is similar to fitness. I've been doing martial arts, Muay Thai. You meet a lot of cool people, but I also think it really helps you as an entrepreneur with resilience and perseverance and, keep pushing, don't give up, and, you know, keep fighting until you get to the finish line.
Very nice. Yeah, usually when I talk about this, I'll talk a lot about, like you said, guys said, working out and meditation and morning routines and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I realized recently, and I actually hear this in a lot of podcasts, is that there's a pretty high direct correlation between the amount of close friends and people you hang out with and happiness, right? That's something that in the first half of my business, I didn't value relationships nearly as much because I put my head down. I thought if I just worked harder that I would get, where I wanted faster. And now I realize that through relationships, whether it's personal or business, it just brings a lot to me, whether it's, having someone to talk to and lean on about, a personal issue that I can talk to my personal friend about, or being able to call a business person that I know that I like and I trust in a mastermind or something that I'm a part of, and be able to throw things at them, and they may know somebody who has a solution. And also just to be able to like have those groups to be able to post things in and say, hey guys, I've got an issue here. And to have 50 to 100 people that are paying a lot of money to be in this group that are high level to be able to help you out. So I would say, outside of the things I've talked about before, relationships, I think are very important. Um, it just helps. It helps to have people that you can lean on and people that you can go to when you need something. Which is why I like this style too. It's because it's not only interviewing and talking to one person, it's getting multiple perspectives on things, right? I think that's super valuable. So I'm going to throw it back to you guys. I've got a couple more things that we can talk about. What would you guys like to talk about? Is there anything you guys are working on in your business that whether you're trying to raise money or whatever it is, I'd love for each one of you guys to throw something out that we can kind of discuss a little bit.
Sure. We've been getting into curative title, so partial interest buyouts. There's a lot of situations where a family inherits the property, and there's just so much turmoil. They don't get along. One person's paying for the taxes and the others aren't. So this is a unique exit that's popped up, I think, in the last year or so. But basically, especially on ones where there's like a bunch of cousins, but buying out each of the family members until you get a good amount of interest or equity in the property, and then doing a partition suit to get the property sold. So it's a lot of legal work, and typically it's almost always a probate situation. But we're doing that, and then we're scaling that from Florida into Texas this year.
And when you
So I would
go
say
into
that's some.
Texas, so I've heard a lot of hit and miss stories. So we have people that'll
Mhm.
that'll go in, and do TV in one market and then put it into another market, and I'd say half the time it works, half the time it doesn't. Sometimes they don't have their system set up right. Sometimes there's something they find in another state or another city that there's a disconnect that they didn't see. When you say Texas, is this a certain market you're going into? Are you going into all of Texas? And have you started doing any kind of deals in Texas so far?
So we're still very much in the discovery phase of, we're very close to, so, like I said, we really like to research our stuff and get it down pat, especially when it comes to the data before we start going full force. But our plan is we're starting with one county, as I think you just get overwhelmed if you're trying to do every county in the state. So our goal is to master one county that we've done a good amount of market research on, figure that out, start marketing to it, start getting some deals done, and then scale into other markets. That would be my advice. And it's similar to like TV right now. We're only really in one market in Florida, and we're going to maximize the budget there before we start to scale into some other areas.
Yeah, cool. What about you, Austin? Anything you want to throw out here?
Yeah, one of the things that's been pretty cool this year is I've become a owner in a title company locally that's licensed here and in Maryland and New Jersey. So I have shares at real estate closing companies, so I get to share in the profit on the deals that we're already closing on. And I don't think a lot of people realize you can do that. So that's cool, and actually pays back a pretty decent amount just for doing the deals you were already doing. And we're developing out a new division in the company too to offer real estate shares, ownership shares in the company as well. So it's been cool, and I'm excited about that. Been getting other people to sign on as well in the last couple months. So growing that side of the business has been cool, and I think it's going to be a nice stream of income for us.
Nice. I like it. Is it like a big title company you were able to do that with, or was it kind of a smaller one, and that's why you were able to get into that? Because I'm just looking at the title companies that we've dealt with, and I mean, we'd probably have to put a good amount of money in to get any kind of ownership in those. I'm just kind of curious how you were able to put that together.
They're smaller. They probably, I mean, they're not tiny. They probably do 600 transactions a year. Um, and so that's probably a medium sized. And what I have ownership in is the new division of that company for investors,
Hmm.
realtors doing higher volume to offer shares. And then our business is a part of that as well. So we do get a kickback, just for the existing deals that I'm already doing. But I think we can grow it. I mean, it's pretty cool. We already have quite a few people signed up, and we already are at about 350 deals a year if people all do what they say they're going to do. And we just started it in like February 1 is when we incorporated, which is pretty cool. So
Very nice. So you didn't really have to put any money in. It was more just going in and bringing people in to do deals with the title company.
I did put a small amount of money in. Yes,
Okay.
it was like 10 grand to
Okay.
to buy in, just so we have some money exchange. But we didn't really need to because she already had the infrastructure.
Yeah. Gotcha. Very cool. Very nice. CRM and tools. So we just switched over to Left Main recently, which is powered by Salesforce. And we've had some growing, or I say growing pains, some implementation pains, if you will. But I think we finally now have it dialed in. And the reason we switched to them is because we wanted more data. We wanted more automation. Like for instance, the CRM, like you mentioned, going through all that data. Left Main will actually go through the data. I don't know if it's every day or every other day, however often it is, and it will search, take the leads that are in your system and search to see if they've been sold or if they're on the market or if something's changed with them, and it'll automatically update that record and let you know. So I feel like that's one cool thing that we've implemented lately that will only get better as we are able to get reports and get more data and things of that nature. So I'm kind of curious, first of all, what CRM are you guys using? And are there any other tools or systems that you're using that you think would be cool to share with everybody?
We use Podio for our CRM. And it's funny you are mentioning that because we are actively looking to probably switch because all of our automations for, auto texting campaigns when a lead comes in, um, it's just clunky. We actually hire somebody outside to fix stuff for us, and we want to be able to do it ourselves. So um, I don't have a great answer for this question because I'm actively looking for something better. But we use Podio and it works. I mean, it's been fine for us, but trying to take it to the next level. So I have no good answer for that one.
Yeah, if you're looking into them, Ari Simply is a good one if you want. I don't want to say basic. It's probably mid-level, I would say.
Hmm.
There's some that are like I would consider Podio kind of like older school, breaks a lot. We went through that same thing too, where we were just spending so
Yeah,
much time and money trying to fix things, and it just
we literally hire somebody, when something breaks, and I'm like, we just can't do this anymore. Like AI has come too far. We need to fix this. So,
yeah. So RE Simply is a good one. We can send you a discount code for that one if you want us to. And then Left Main's a good one. It's more expensive, but the good thing about that one is that they have it programmed and they can work on what they want to work on, kind of what they have formatted, I should say. But if you want to customize it, it's on Salesforce. You can actually hire people to go in and customize it. And that's the other thing
mhm.
we didn't love about RE Simply is that if we wanted a change made it on the back end, we had to submit a ticket and say, hey, this is what we would want. And they may or may not implement it in their next round of updates. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. What are you guys using, Dominic?
So we are using investor fees, kind of the same issue that you guys mentioned. I mean, for years it did its job and it's been great, but it sometimes feels really clunky. And it's like the worst is when you're trying to search an address and it's just not popping up and you have to type it in like three different times. I don't know if you guys have ever had that, but it just feels a little outdated sometimes. Um, Overall, worked great to get us from point A to point B, but we're looking to possibly make the switch to Salesforce, which I know is, it is a more in-depth CRM and it is very expensive per user, but the way that you can program it out is super advantageous to what we're trying to do with family trees and partial interest buyouts. And, on an inheritance of that nature, there's so many different moving pieces. So it really helps with organization, especially, knowing, okay, I bought out, Billy Bob and, Sally and X, Y, and Z. So I own, you know, 42% of this property, right? So that's something we're looking at doing. And then we've also implemented an in-house scoring system to score not necessarily the leads, but the data to say, okay, like this is something we should definitely dial in on. This is a top-notch priority compared to the other, you know, 3,000 data prospects in our system.
Yeah. Are you looking to get Left Main to do that for you, or are you going to try and program it yourself?
So there was a lady that she worked for a company out of Texas, or she helped program it for this company. And I was going to work with her, but I guess she's got like an illness. So she's like kind of retired at this point. Um, so we'll probably hire Left Man or another consultant to try to build it out for us for sure. We don't want
Yeah,
to do that ourselves.
yeah, I know one other guy that tried to talk me into building it myself, and I'm like, I would rather, even though I know I'm going to pay more, just have it done. I know there's going to be some things that we have to change and whatever, but I want 95% of it done to where we can just, put the other 5% on it that we want to customize ourselves. So, well, cool. I got one more question for you guys. So, I noticed this morning two posts, and again, I try to take social media with a grain of salt. But there were two people that posted that the um, how did they put it? The days on market for listing have gone up. Oh, and one guy said Google searches are the highest for my house isn't selling or something like that, the highest since 2008. And again, I'm taking all this with a grain of salt, but I'm kind of curious how you guys are seeing things in your market and if there's things that you're planning on for 2026 because of the way that things are maybe going in your market. So I know Dominic, you're in Florida. Austin, what market are you in?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. And what are you doing?
Mhm.
Like, what are you seeing? Are you making any changes for 2026 to plan for I don't think there's ever going to be I don't think there's going to be a big correction, but I feel like there could be something that happens. Are you planning on anything for 2026?
I am, yeah, for sure. Everything you just said is exactly right for our area. Houses are sitting on the market a little bit longer. Flips are getting inspections, and then if somebody offers an inspection on the house, like you better just renegotiate. Everybody's going to want to renegotiate. Buyers have they have the leverage. So, like example, we were working a deal yesterday that's like a great deal, exactly what we want. It's just a higher price point. So this is where we're making a change. The ARV is probably 600 to 650, which in Idaho might be normal, but out here that's an expensive house, and flippers are just nervous about it. They don't like trying to flip to that high volume, like that high price point. So as far as our wholesales go, we just need to negotiate better. We need to explain better. We need to get those at a lower price point. And the ARV goes from 650 to probably 610 pretty quickly right now. So I wouldn't call that a huge correction, but those top ARVs aren't being hit. So we need to do a better job um, sending to more buyers, right? Using like investor base or something to sell to more local buyers really close to the house that might want to pay more and negotiate lower. So do better negotiating and do better on dispo, those two things, which is like the bread and butter of the business.
Yep. What about you, Dominic?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're definitely seeing days on market is steadily going up. Several of our markets, they got hit bad by hurricanes, and so insurance wasn't really paying out. And they're like, okay, we're not going to keep up with our mortgage, if insurance isn't paying out. So it's kind of creating this cluster. And then days on market, things aren't selling super quick. So our thing is, if you have a product, there's always a buyer. It's just a matter of how much they're willing to pay for it. So just really dialing in on actual distress, actual problems that we can solve. And the harder those problems are, the more of a discount we can get and the better of a deal we can get. And those deals will sell themselves. So I would say that focusing on actual distress to weather the storm of a slow market so you can get a better margin to give yourself more room for error and a better spread if the market's slowing down for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. What you just to reiterate is just negotiating smarter, buying better properties in the price ranges can sell very easy, or that if you need to, that you can refinance those and keep those as rentals, right? So if anybody's listening and they're thinking about maybe pausing buying or slowing down buying, I wouldn't necessarily do that unless you're talking about just slowing down buying higher price properties or properties that just take a lot longer to renovate because if something happens with these wars going on and whatever where people just literally get cold feet and start stalling, those higher priced properties are going to are going to be sitting the longest. And if you've got a bunch of rehabs that are taking a long time, then all of a sudden you could be stuck with a lot of rehabs. There's a couple comments and or questions here I want to read. Sorry, I just saw this. Samo said, oh, here, let's do this one first. We have put together our clone AI to the content development on the fly from Google Cord and finished recordings from 11 Labs, which is a voice automation AI program, and now creating tons of content. My concern is overdoing it. Quality of our videos are great, and I want to ask, is too much content an issue? I'm creating 5 to 7 videos at the length of 10 to 20 minutes, and I'm using them to break down and post all over. Are you guys doing anything here? Yeah, I think that's great. I don't know if there's ever like over doing videos or doing too many videos as long as they're good videos. Like I'd rather do too many videos that I think maybe are a little bit lower quality than doing a video really good every once in a while that could be higher quality, if that makes sense. Just because you may put a quote unquote what you think is a lower quality video out there, but it may actually produce something for you. Maybe that one video that does something. So I don't know if I'd overthink it. If the videos are good and they don't look too AI-ish, then I would just continue to do them. Mo said, just built the same thing, Austin, and the way I use it is as it does the article, and then back to link build and SEO. Since it's doing good response for us too, I use the same blog to do an AI generated video of me doing the talk. So that's cool. So that's not only having AI do that, but then also putting another spin while having an AI generation tool do a video. Another AI generation tool is HeyGen. If you guys haven't heard of that, HeyGen. You can record a 2-minute video of yourself, and then it will render videos as you put text into it and render videos of you talking. It's not perfect. You have to like really kind of work on it to get it where it needs to be. But if you put a lot of graphics over the top of it, you can't really notice. So that's pretty cool. Imagine doing it on the fly based on trends, testing it now. That's the AI generated stuff. And one more here. I hate working with Sharper. They no longer care about their business. I had them on board from 2007, 2020. So it looks like just talking about Sharper. Sharper, I haven't heard too many bad things about, but it looks like maybe you had a bad experience with it. So Sharper will go in and implement kind of an EOS type system. EOS is operating entrepreneur operating system, and then there's other variations of it as well. That's a really good one too. Is if you guys don't have some kind of operating system in your business, a framework basically to run your business by, you really should do that. So that's the last thing I'll end on. Do you guys have kind of any entrepreneur operating system or anything you guys put in place in your business?
We use the Four Disciplines of Execution. It's like an older book, just about controlling what you can control using lag measures and lead measures of How many calls we can't force people to sign a contract, right? But we can control how many times we dial the phone. So check out the book, Four Disciplines of Execution. That's really helped our business.
Who's the author of that?
Covey, I think is his last name. Uh,
Stephen Covey?
I think so. I think it's
Okay,
Covey.
cool.
I think it's him. If you look up, I'm pretty sure if you Google it right now, I think it's Covey.
Yeah,
It's a good book. It's a good book.
cool. Yeah, I'm taking a note of it. What about you, Dominic?
Yeah, we use the EOS operating system through Traction. Just definitely helps us with control, clarifying the vision, making sure growth's in place, and then just staying on top of the KPIs because that's really the only thing we can control is all right, if we meet the KPIs, and everything else is in place, can we achieve results? So that's definitely been a core fundamental aspect of our business, and it certainly helped.
Very nice. Like I said, there's a lot of systems out there. Really, just pick one you think is going to work for the best for you, and just execute it. It's kind of what it comes down to. So Dominic and Austin, I will respect your time and thank you guys for being on here. For those who are listening in, we are doing this every 2 weeks. If you're watching this on YouTube, just email me at tony@prohomebuyer.com. And if you want to listen live, my assistant will give you access to that. So Dominic, Austin, thanks again, guys. Keep crushing it, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.